Hello everyone, Caren Glasser here, and welcome to this episode of The Passion Point. This is the show where we follow passionistas from all around the world who are following their passion, making a living, doing what they love. And today I'm excited about our guests. We actually have two guests on today, which is very cool for me. This is their first time on The Passion Point. Their name is Briana and Dr. Peter Borten. Peter and Briana have made it their mission to create a more peaceful world by helping individuals reestablish a sense of inner peace, balance, as well as living a well life. They are the founders of The Dragontree, which is how I found them actually, and I'm going to be talking about this really cool book that just came in the mail. They are the founders of The Dragontree. It's a wellness organization with holistic spas in Portland and Boulder, and I can't wait to come visit you guys. So without further ado, Peter and Briana, join us. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us today.
Thanks, Caren.
We are so excited to have you on the show. I know that my viewers and the viewers from all around the world are going to be very happy to hear what you're sharing today, and something that's kind of like a tease of something that's coming out very, very soon that our viewers are going to hear, if not first, pretty much first. So, Peter, you're a doctor of acupuncture and Oriental medicine, and you're a certified Qi Gong instructor. You told me how to say it right. Hopefully I said that right. He's also taught extensively and has authored hundreds of articles on psychological and physical health. And Briana, you're a certified Ayurvedic specialist, and I don't know what that is, so we're going to have to find out what that is, and a peace engineer, as well as the CEO of The Dragontree. I'm exhausted. Just I don't know how you guys do it all. You write frequently on personal development. I've read some of your posts. In addition, you also help people achieve their dreams and live extraordinary, happy lives. Now, isn't that what we all want, to live extraordinary lives? So let's just jump into the show and talk about the word passion. Webster's dictionary says that passion is an intense driving or overmastering skill or conviction. Blah, blah, blah. That's what Webster says. What do you guys say? What's passion mean to you?
You start.
Well, passion to me, I think there are all sorts of ways that people can be passionate about, and I like to sort of guide them toward the forms of passion that seem like they're actually aligned with your soul. And so to me, I feel like passion is, things that are intrinsically opening for you, that encourage you to expand and grow and be more of who I think your potential is, be more of who your soul wants you to be. So those are the kinds of passions. I mean, that to me is what real passion is about.
I love that. Briana?
Yeah, I knew you'd have such a good answer. But I also feel like it's that feeling inside where it feels like, oh, everything aligns to this. When you feel like your actions can really align with it very easily, and your day can really align with it easily. And that, when I say easily, I don't mean that it's easy. I really just mean that the things align, and you're like, oh yeah, that all makes sense for where I feel like I want to go with my soul. But not necessarily does it mean that it's going to be easy. I know that we have found that following our passion, there are a lot of times it's hard. So it's not easy. It's just that there's a sense of ease.
Well, and you're also entrepreneurs. And as an entrepreneur, I've had this conversation with almost every guest that I've had, that there is this misnomer that being an entrepreneur is really easy work. You work when you want to, and you don't work when you don't want to. And, it's like life. And that's not true. I mean, sometimes you can work little hours, but for the most part, we work pretty damn hard, right?
Oh yeah, when you working when you want to often translates to working at every possible moment.
And then trying to convince yourself that that's when you want to do it, right?
Right. That's when I wanted to work. That was it.
And it's hard because, and I know that you talk about balance, and I know you talk about those things. So we're going to jump into that in a moment. Tell me, how did you start this together? Did you meet up and say, this is what we were meant as a couple to do? Or were you both involved in different things? You met up and then continued. What's your journey to getting where you are today?
Well, we met actually at a spa that we both worked at. We were both doing treatments for people there. I was doing massage, and Peter was doing some massage and some acupuncture. And I left and decided to start my own spa. And Peter was actually started his own practice as well. And as I was starting my spa, I said, I really want you to move your practice into the spa, which there was a tiny bit of resistance from Peter about that, actually. But he decided to do so. And so he moved his practice into the spa, but we were kind of separate in the beginning. But he was there from the very beginning, like bulldozing the wall with me and like painting the floor as I cried from not getting enough sleep for weeks. So we always have been in this business together, but at the beginning it was kind of it was my vision in the beginning, and then Peter quickly joined up with me. And then a couple of years into it, after we had gotten married, then Peter decided that he would like to be part of the business. So then he became part of the business.
And the rest is history, because I mean, you have online courses, you have natural body care products, you have resources for vibrant living. Peter, when you meet with somebody, you're in a spa, and what kind of things are people going to be coming to you for? What are they getting?
When someone comes to me as a patient, I mean, really it's for anything from pain to psychological, emotional issues to digestive or reproductive problems or whatever. I mean, I have pretty much a complete medical practice, but as Briana was saying before, I did have some reluctance to move my practice out of kind of a regular sort of medical building into this spa, sort of because I thought the kinds of people who'd be coming to me wouldn't have any real problems. They just want, sort of poopy treatments. And over time, I began to appreciate how much the atmosphere of the spa had so much potential for healing that you don't really get in your typical sort of beige carpet, white wall medical building. And Briana's really a master of using things like texture and color and sound and sense and so on to produce kind of a transcendent experience. So I began to feel like I would never want to practice outside a spa.
Wow. So it's sort of, I mean, my husband's a psychiatrist, and I have been in therapy myself. And one of the things that we learn in therapy is that there are a lot of different ways to approach whatever it is that ails you. And some of the ways are through meditation or through hypnosis or through all these other alternative ways of practicing. And I can only imagine it makes sense for it to be in the spa. That actually makes perfect sense for me, because it's the whole body that you're dealing with. And smart, Briana, very smart for dragging him in there. And so how has this journey been with you? Because now you have this business, and I've been teasing people that I just got my book. And it's very cool. What I like about it, it's called Rituals for Living. And I love the concept of rituals. And I really want to hone in on that word today, rituals. Because when I first started reading this, I was like, well, what does that have to do with anything? And then I saw what it had to do with my life and creating the structure and the rituals. So let's jump into this book. Where did this book come from? Why did you decide to do this dream book and planner?
So one of the things that we were really noticing in our clients, and actually we did a lot of interviewing and a lot of surveying of our clients to see what they were really wanting from us besides what we were already offering. And one of the main things that we were seeing was that people were saying that they had, when they came to the spa, they felt balanced when they left, but it only lasted so long. Or when they used our products that helped their health, but it only, it wasn't affecting all of the areas of their life. And they were feeling like the thing we kept hearing again and again is, how do I create balance for myself in my own life? How do I make this happen for myself every day? I'm overworked. I'm, super tired. I'm not getting my dreams. I'm not living up to my potential. How do I do that? A lot of it was like, we see you guys doing that. How do we do that? And we just saw such a gap of knowledge for people, where we wanted to help them extend that feeling of balance that you see after you have a massage, and you're like, oh, that feels so good. I feel, at peace. We wanted people to be able to extend that. Yeah. All areas of their life and be able to really get their dreams while not like burning themselves down in the meantime. So we created this system that I had been using, and I had been sharing a lot with Peter. In fact, we had been going to cafes and doing like weekly boot camp, which all of our friends were like, we want to go. So we started to think, oh, wow, I think that this is a system that would help a lot of people. And then a lot of it, like the ritual part and like making sure that you're adding in meditation and adding in, you know, getting massage and taking care of yourself, that's actually like what Peter brought so much into my life. Like I brought a lot of like the structure and like how to get things done, and he brought a lot of like, well, remember to take care of yourself while you're doing that. And so together we just felt like we could create a system for people that would feel really balanced. And so that's kind of how the Dream Book was born.
And it actually walks an individual through short-term, long-term, lifetime goals and aspirations, but also in different areas of your life. So it's not just what's my task list for today and what am I going to do next week and what am I going to do in 5 years, but it's financial, it's physical, it's spiritual, which is what I really like about it, because that's how you become a whole person, at least in my opinion. If you're only working on the business, as we like to say, working in the business versus on the business, we should be also working on ourselves and in ourselves. And I think that's what this does. Now, you have a new book coming out. Talk about this little book that's coming out.
Well, the new book, in some ways, has some overlap with the ideas of the Dream Book, but we really expand on some of these concepts in a way that, well, we're talking about, well, Briana was talking about how a number of our clients were saying that were asking us how we do it, how we keep everything balanced and accomplish as much as we do. And that led us to start to kind of expand our sense of what real wellness is, and that it goes way beyond just having a body that's functional and working and a mind that's functional, but it means like the ability to have a life that works, to have a healthy family structure, and to have a career that is gratifying and that earns you ample income and so on. And it came to us that there are three main elements that we draw on when we're structuring and creating our lives in this way. And they are, we coined them as sweetness, structure, and space. And so this book is essentially a guidebook for how to use these three elements to make your dream life a reality, and just experience this sort of whole life wellness like you're talking about, where it isn't compartmentalized, and there are no areas of your life that are deprived of your total presence and balance. Which
is awesome. So let's break that down. The first one you said was sweetness. What does that mean?
So sweetness is, you know, all the kind of feel good and nourishing parts of life. So the things that really feel like they're nourishing your soul. So it might be, you know, getting a massage or spending time with friends or family, or, you know, maybe even going on a walk in nature. So they're the things that I kind of feel like get kind of put at the bottom of our to-do list for ourselves a lot of times, but are actually the things that feel really nourishing to our soul. And it's also the element of finding that sweetness in everyday activities. So even if, you know, you're not able to go on a walk in nature, that while you're doing the dishes, that you can like kind of dive into the sweetness of that moment. So we talk a lot about the actual activities that you can do that are sweet, but we also talk about how can you bring more sweetness into everything that you do, because it's always available. And so that's a big part of what we talk about when we talk about sweetness in the book.
I love that. I don't think I've ever seen the word sweetness used in this kind of environment. So it's very unique, and you explaining it the way you do, it makes total sense, and that we have to prioritize to have that sweetness in our lives. Otherwise, we'll forget, because it's the last thing on the list. Okay, the next thing that you mentioned was structure. So how does structure operate within the system that you have put together?
Well, your audience, I would guess, is probably more focused and kind of attuned to the idea of structure maybe than the population at large, because structure in the most sort of overt way is about getting from point A to point B, making, you know, the nitty-gritty or the nuts and bolts of making things happen in your life. But we found that people's structures are not always lacking, but sometimes they're overly complicated. So in a lot of ways, we like to use metaphors for this. And, you know, one person's structure to get, say, over a canyon might be like a tightrope. And we can see that it's possible that they're going to get there, but they don't have much support. And, you know, they've got no, say, safety lines in place. And another person, maybe their structure to get there is like a concrete tube. And maybe it's going to get them from point A to point B, but it's not going to be very scenic along the way. It's just going to be I'm following along this track and it's not going to be enjoyable, but it's going to get me there. And so those are the kinds of ways to use those metaphors that we see people bringing their dreams into being. And we want to encourage people to make their structure more intelligent, more graceful. I mean, if you think about a really nice piece of architecture, it's not necessarily, a zillion different trusses and beams and all of that. Sometimes it's just done in a beautifully graceful way. It gets you there, and all along the way, you really get to enjoy the scenery. And
I love the word architecture. I love the way you use architecture in here, and I know that you refer to it as learning the art of life architecture. So, we think of, when I think of architecture, I think of buildings, and somebody who designed a beautiful building. This is more designing a beautiful life, if I'm hearing you and understanding correctly. We're designing a beautiful life. Is that it? Okay, cool. Now, the third thing that you mentioned in these, the 3 fundamental principles was space. I don't think you mean outer space. So what does space mean in terms of the bigger picture here?
So space, when we were talking about it, is really how we access either our highest self or divine or the universe or nature, whatever people feel connected to in that way. It's taking time to access that. It's also where creativity and inspiration live. And so I think most of us have had this experience where maybe you're working on a project and you come to a place where you don't know the answer, you don't know what to do next, or you feel out of creativity. You try to run through it, but the more you're trying to get to it, the harder it is. But if you step back and either take a shower or walk in the woods or whatever, this space, this is really where innovation comes from, where inspiration and creativity live, and it's really where you can connect to what is more than just yourself.
And it's really the keeping from becoming overwhelmed, which is one of the other things that our clients have told us so much, is that this kind of life, especially an entrepreneurial life, is one that's full of overwhelm. And so this is about having space in your mind, in your life, space where the sweetness can really come in, and space so that the structure isn't confining, but it's airy and open for you.
I'm thinking about a meme, an image that I saw about the life of an entrepreneur, and it literally was zigzagging up and down every day. My life is terrible. This is great. It's the greatest thing going on today. My business is going to close. That kind of thing. And I'm wondering, by using these wonderful fundamentals that you have here, if we can change that timeline of an entrepreneur to incorporate the space so that they're not going up and down so much. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I have those days. I wake up some days and just say, what the heck am I doing? I don't know why I'm doing this. And other days I wake up and I can't wait to get out of bed. And so finding that, and that makes me feel a little bit psychotic because, I'm going from one end to the other. And I think entrepreneurs sometimes feel that way. I don't know how you feel about that, but I think sometimes as an entrepreneur, you just don't know what the next day is going to bring you. And it's a little unsettling. This is going to help, isn't it?
Yeah. Especially the space part, it's what allows you perspective. And when you're really close to everything, you can't see the big picture of it anymore, and you're just sort of at the mercy of one task and the next and all the emergency emails that you get. But space allows you to kind of back up and see the big picture of it all. And wait, I don't need to be zigzagging all the time.
Right. It's not so bad. It's okay. It's all going to be okay. Now, we've mentioned 2 books that you have, the one that's coming and the one that's already out here, and that's the Dream Book and Planner. And the way it's set up, just for our viewers, because I do want you guys to take a look at this, and you also have a class that you're running so that people, for those who are not self-starters, who might have good intentions when they buy the book and then it sits on the shelf because they can't, I know you have a Facebook group, and I know when people have a hard time getting off the dime just to start, they don't want to even put a pencil mark in it. I mean, I read these things and I understand you don't want to, everything has to be perfect. And truth is it does not have to be perfect. So it walks you through your goals, all the different areas of your life, and then it sort of turns into a planner where you can then be more structured. Is that more you, Briana, the structure of the planner aspect of it? I'm getting this. Okay. But you know what? It's a great mix, and you guys make a really great team, because for me, I'm more of the structured kind of person, and that was ultimately why I got it. I got the book, not so much because of the other, but now that I have the other, I love it. And it's actually bringing me a little bit of balance. Now, your next book, the book that's coming out is called A Well Life, or The Well Life. Let's talk about that. And I know that it incorporates the sweetness, structure, and space, and it talks about rituals, and it talks about everything. What is this book going to do for the end reader, the person who at the end of the show says, oh my gosh, I have to go out and get this book right now? What is this going to do for them when they read it?
Well, I really think that, of course, it depends on how much you implement the things that you read. We can't guarantee anything because, you have to be willing to do the work. And it is work. Creating your life isn't about, reading a book and then voila, everything's going to be magically different. There's a system that is in place, and using the system and going through the exercises will really help you become more present and release a lot of like the baggage that you carry around with you from the past, so that you can really be present now, and it'll help you connect more in your families. It'll help you connect more to your relationships in all areas. It'll also help you, establish what really means something to you. And this is something that is similar in the dream book that we talk a lot about. It's just like, we go for these big goals. Sometimes they aren't really even ours. Sometimes they're because we've seen them in society, or parents have them for us, or, we see them on social media. And there's so many wonderful ways to live life that you can start to get distracted. And so
we call them squirrel moments over here in my squirrel moments. Squirrel.
But if you're really connected to what you really want from your heart and your soul, and you let that really lead you, then you stop being so distracted, and you start to be able to make a big difference in the world. And that's truly what we want. I mean, we just know the potential of humans out there. Yeah. And if we could all just align ourselves with our mission and go and get past our minds and go make a big difference in the world, we really think that the world would change so greatly. And, that's really what we want. Of course, we want the people themselves to feel really good. And I think that people will feel happy and balanced if they implemented what they read. But also I think that they can make a big impact in the world. And that's really the big goal.
Do you guys suggest that couples do this together?
I think it would be an excellent idea for couples to do it together. And many of the people on our Facebook forum have said things like, I'm really on board with all of this stuff, but my partner isn't so much. And we tell them that their partner doesn't need to be. And of course, the change that they're creating in their lives eventually will probably stand to be inspirational to their partner, but They can't expect or wait for that in order to bring their potential into the world. But if their partner is on board, and I've been extremely lucky to have one who's on board, then I think as a team, of course, you have the synergy of your different strengths, and you can do great things. And I think, like Briana was saying or alluding to, almost everybody kind of has this sense of like, I think I'm meant for something really important. And maybe you're here to admit that to yourself. And we completely believe that about everyone. And this book is really about recognizing what that is and bringing it into being.
I think it's scary. I think it's scary for a lot of people because we have lived our lives in a certain way. We've lived how our parents brought us up, and then the friends, how they made an impact on us, and then our business associates. And we've been involved with so many different people as we go through the years. And now we get to a certain age and we say, okay, there's got to be something better than what we're doing right now. There's got to be something better because I'm not happy. I don't know why I'm not happy. I don't even know what would make me happy. And I do think that that's where this comes in, because I think a lot of people, and I was one of those people for several years, who did not know what made me happy. And it made me sad that I didn't know what made me happy, because I would have a therapist that would say, well, just go out and do something you like. And I would just sit there and say, I don't even know what I like. That's, and I think people get into this, I don't even know what I like anymore. And this leads me into the next question. And it's about passion and about people not knowing what their passion is. The economy that we are in right now here in the States, it's very hard to get a job. No matter what you hear on television, it's very hard to get a job. And there are a lot of people that are lost and they are unemployed. And instead of saying they're unemployed, they say they're an entrepreneur, because it sounds better, right? I call them accidental entrepreneurs. And I can say that because I was one at the point that I left my job, real job, when I was living in Southern California, moved up to Northern California and had no work. I did not know what I was going to do. And I wasn't going to say I'm unemployed. That's too vulnerable of me. So I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I had no idea what it meant. And I think if I knew what it meant then, I may not have done what I did. It's a lot of work, as I said. But I think that as we get older, we are realizing that we have to do what we need to do now so that we can lead the lives and live the lives that we want to live later. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I think it's not just about the later, too. It's about an ongoing sense that you're not completely at peace. And it's been that way for a long time. And as soon as you start to make the choice to align yourself with what really matters to you, that feeling starts to go away, and it's replaced with real peace. And what happens in the future becomes a bit less relevant. It's really about, oh, right now I feel good about who I am and what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is, the question of like, I don't know what I want, and I don't even know what I like. I don't know where I'm going. I think a lot of that is because people aren't taking any space. And that's like really where so much of that comes from. So like in having time to meditate or having time to just walk in the woods. And, it's like, how would you know what you like? You haven't been paying any attention to that. So it's not even like you shouldn't, like, that makes so much sense that you don't know what you like. And like, I think a lot of times we're like, oh, I don't know what I like. And now I feel bad about not knowing what I like.
Exactly.
But you don't feel bad about it. It makes sense a lot of times where life has led us. And instead just like really forgiving yourself, like, man, that's okay. Everyone goes through these times. And the more that we all talk about it and be like, yes, I've been there, I felt that way too, the more we can normalize it so that we don't have to beat ourselves up about it. And then just taking the space to really be with yourself, it comes out. It isn't some sort of magic trick.
Right.
You have it in you. And sometimes it just means taking a little bit of space, using maybe some prompts from, other people, what do you like doing? I'm going to try it. You might like doing it too. So I do think that the first part is forgiveness, though, of being in that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I asked that question to a mindset coach from Australia, and she said that when people come to her and say, I've lost my passion, I don't know what my passion is, instead of looking at it as a negative, she says, what a great opportunity you have. She reframes it to, it's not that you don't have passion, you have opportunities now that you didn't have, now that you've acknowledged that you're not sure what you want to do, that's an opportunity, grab it. And it was an interesting way, and you're kind of saying the same thing, that this is not a bad thing, this is an opportunity, this is a way to explore that you're being forced to do it because you're in this position, but what a great thing to be forced into. I think I love this whole area of work and what you're doing, and I think it's so important, and I think it's really cool that you're doing it together because it is whole body. I love quotes. I love, love, love quotes. In fact, I'm a little bit of a freak about quotes, and every morning when I wake up, I find a quote that speaks to me. Sometimes I'll post it on social media, sometimes I won't. I use them in the interviews. Today's quote is by Anonymous. There is no author for this. If you catch yourself working hard and loving every minute of it, don't stop. You're on to something big, because hard work isn't hard when you concentrate on your passions. Does that speak to you?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I definitely feel like, the other day I realized we've been working on the Dragontree for 13 years, and I was like, wow. I mean, I look back and there's definitely been some really hard times, but I love it. Like, I love what we do, and I love that we get to innovate and change things, and I love working with our team. And so, yeah, it definitely, it feels like almost like something is like holding me up to do it, instead of feeling like, oh, there's all this weight to do the stuff I have to do. And sometimes there's that too, not saying there isn't. Like when I have to do Excel, I have a little bit of that. But, in general, I feel like almost like I'm being lifted up, being like held up to do the work. And that feels really supportive and makes it feel a lot like it has more ease in it.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm often reminded when people, by this quote in particular, but similar things that people say about work, of our earliest experience in taking Tai Chi together in Portland. And that was with this small, fierce Chinese man who had been teaching in this space since 1974. And on our first class, he said, "Do you like hard work?" And we both were kind of like, I guess so. And that was the beginning of a long relationship where he worked us incredibly hard. They were the most grueling workouts of my life. But he introduced us to this paradox or apparent paradox of working at your hardest, engaging with all of yourself simultaneously, and relaxed. And he said, okay, he put us into a position that was just incredibly grueling to sustain, in a deep squat, let's say, with our arms out, and he'd say, "Now relax." And you're like, how? That's easier said than done.
Right.
Explore this idea that you could be potentially working at your absolute hardest and simultaneously relaxed. And I don't think now that hard work and stress have to occur together. I mean, I think that they're mutually exclusive things. You could be working at your hardest and be at peace. And I think when you're doing what you're passionate about, that's a lot more likely to
I love that. I love what you're saying, because you're disconnecting hard work from what most of us, that feeling of stress and anxiety with the hard work. They seem to go hand in hand. And you're saying that really the job is to separate them and make them one, that they're not, it doesn't lead to stress. In fact, when you are working hard, if you do it right and you learn the procedures and the processes, that working hard should make you feel good, not stressed.
It's absolutely possible.
That I really, really, really like this. I have one more question for you, and then I'm going to thank you for your time with us today. And that is, if you could spread passion dust on anyone in the world and accomplish anything that you wanted to accomplish, where or on whom would you spread the dust, and what would you be hoping to accomplish?
Wow. Do you want to answer or you want me to answer?
Well, we'll both answer. You answer first.
So for me, I would spread passion dust on the 1%. And this has been recently reframed as the 0.1%. People have said now that, oh, it's not the 1% who are the sort of disconnected elite. It's really the top, maybe 10th of that.
Right.
Because I feel like we really need people who are passionate and conscious and enlightened, who have money, because it takes money to make change happen. It doesn't always, but money sure helps. And so if I could spread passion dust onto that 0.1% and get those people to awaken again to the world and the consequences of their actions and the corporations that they're in charge of, and to care again about making this a place that we're proud to leave to our children and our grandchildren, a place where we want humanity to continue to be able to thrive for millennia, then I think they could do anything. They could turn around climate change. They could provide clean water and medical services for everybody in the world.
That is the best explanation, the best thing that I have heard on any of my shows, because not because that was just what, oh my gosh, I love that. And guys, I'm putting that quote down below. I'm talking to the viewers now. That quote's going to be in there. I want you to go read it, because this was awesome. Briana, you got now big shoes to fill.
I don't even know what to say after that. That's really good.
It really was good.
So smart. I guess for me, I would really want to sprinkle passion dust on, the people that are just like late teens, early 20s, where there's a lot of times where you can feel kind of like there's a lot of opportunity, but also it feels overwhelming, or like there isn't really, like, it's hard to find a job, or you don't know what you're doing, or, you're also just so entrenched in all the drama of the time, like, oh, who's my boyfriend, who's my girlfriend, like all of that stuff. And I would love to give them the passion, because they're going to be the people that make such a big change in our future, to get them to be really passionate about the things that I think a lot of them right now see it as kind of a lost cause, like our environment, our political system, these things that really need a lot of help. And I think that those people are the people who, we need to make sure that they stay passionate and see that they can make a difference. And I think that when they don't think that they're making a difference, they completely check out. And so I'd love to give them passion dust to see, like, no, you can make a difference. You will make a difference. You just have to keep working hard at this. And so I think if we combine those people with the 1%, we'd be set.
Yeah, I like her answer a lot too.
You know what? I was just going to say, I like your answer as well. I think it's brilliant, and even more brilliant when you put the two of you together. It is very clear that you have a wonderful, wonderful, loving, and professional relationship. And the fact that you're doing what you're doing right now is only the beginning. I am very happy to be talking to you now as I see you're exploding with all this really cool stuff coming out. And I do hope to revisit with you maybe in a year to see where you are now and what you're doing then. I know that you have social media links that we put in the profile. Go and follow them on social media, on Facebook, and Twitter, I think, is the other one that's in there. And also make sure that you go check out the book that's going to be pre-launching in just a week, I think, when this show airs. And also the planner. I'm doing it, guys. I want you to do it too. I want you to pick this up. And maybe we'll do some, accountability calls or something like that to get you up and going. It's important. It's important for the balance in your life. Guys, any last minute thoughts you want to share with our audience?
We're just so grateful to be here, and I really hope that anything that we've said has sparked any amount of passion or drive in you, because we really do believe that you'll make a difference in the world. Like, as soon as you can get past your mind and get aligned with your passion, that all of us doing that together is what's going to change the world.
Right. I agree. Peter?
I completely agree. I was going to say something a lot like that. Just that sometimes we talk about how we're sort of selfish in our pursuit of these kinds of things, because we want to be surrounded by more awake people who are sharing their gifts in the world and doing what we believe they were born to do. And we're just so excited to meet more people who are really living that. And so it's not just, we're not just
talking the talk. You walk the walk.
We say, oh, you're great and you can do it. We really believe it, and we really want to see it. We want to see you living that.
Well, and I want to see you guys taking a look at these two, because they're awesome. I want to thank our audience for spending time with us today, because quite frankly, we know you're busy and we know you have plenty of things that you can be doing right now, but you decided to spend it with us, and for that, we are forever grateful. Have a great day, everyone. Go out and give someone else an awesome day, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of The Passion Point. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.